Welcome to the Getting the Deal Done podcast. And today we're going to talk about 7 things business owners should think about before they decide to sell their company. And to business buyers, you really have to hope that the seller of the company you like has gone through these things, all pretty much personal, not business. Business things are separate, because if they haven't, there's a good chance seller remorse is going to creep into the picture and the deal won't happen. So these come from our new upcoming book, Exit with Style, Grace, and More Money. And the first one is, can you leave it? Is your identity tied to the business? Do you have a life outside the business? My CPA at the time referred me to a client of his. I sat down, had a cup of coffee with the owner, and he says, "Do you know how old I am?" I'm not going to answer that one. He goes, "I'm 88. I've been doing this a long time. I'd like to figure out a way to have my son take over the business in a number of years." In a number of years? Yes, he's about 50, but he's just not mature enough to run the business. The son was their top revenue producer, probably their only main revenue producer. In the book, we use a diagram of someone escaping a prison. And if your business has become a prison, exit sooner, not later. That's a sign of burnout. It's a prison. We cover a lot more in the book, but I love the line from a past client who had sold a business. He said, the best time to sell is 1 year before you're burned out. Of course, if it's only so easy. Now, you're best off to sell when the business is doing really well and has been doing really well. The pipeline of orders is full. Realistic projections are looking good, not just for 1 year, but stuff in the future. Look, a flat or volatile 3 to 5 years and then a really good year, you put the business up for sale, and the question is going to be, why are you selling? What are you worried about? It's tough to leave when things are going good, but it's more lucrative than when they aren't. What about your family? Number two, family. You have kids in the business? Are they capable of running it? Paying for it? Are they willing to sign off on a bank loan? Are you know, they have to be interested first. Then you need to have a frank discussion with them about the value of the business, the deal structure, your role, and other basics. And if they pass, so be it. A lot of deals happen with family members staying on who just don't want to own it. Oh, the same thing goes with management. Have that talk if necessary. I've seen a number of cases where the business ended up selling on the open market because the management team was asked. The management team said, "Oh, yeah, we'd love to own the business." Oh, wait, we have to sign on a bank loan, put up home equity as collateral, make personal guarantees. Uh, no, thanks. Now, I will also say we have worked on succession plans to have employees buy in over time, often using their bonuses to buy shares. Number four, timeline. When do you want to sell? Uh, don't think it's going to happen super fast. The small business can sell real quick. The larger businesses, the more complicated they are, the more moving parts, the more sophisticated the buyer types, the logical buyer. I mean, allow a year. If it takes 4 months, it takes 4 months. If it takes six, great. But mentally allow it to happen in a year. What about your estate plan? Now, we always ask owners, this is number 5, by the way. We always ask owners, what have you talked to a financial advisor? Now, if the business is large enough and they've been doing well, there may be an estate tax issue. And there are things that can be done via the sale to help the estate tax situation. But you need expert opinions, estate planning attorney, financial advisor, tax advisor. Estate and gift tax laws are confusing. Number 6, how are you going to exit? Slide out or high dive out? I mean, slide out means you're going to go out over 2, 3, 4 years, 5 years. Uh, the high dive, like off a cliff, you're done in 90 days of supporting the transition. And there's no right or wrong, is there? It depends on you, your role, what you want to do. Uh, a small business with an individual buyer will probably have the owner out in 2, 4, 6 months at the most. If you're selling to a larger firm, but especially family office or private equity, the seller and the management team are probably going to have to stay on for at least a couple years. And then finally, a big one, number 7, emotions. Given the above thoughts, 6 other things to think about. Can you, the seller, emotionally handle giving up your baby? If you can't, there's no point in thinking about selling. It's going to cause you too much stress. It's going to stress out buyers when you waver or even kill the deal. You got to make sure the time is right. And it's a complicated decision. I like to use the analogy, and I'll modify it a little for this discussion, of a dimmer switch. Don't get up one day because the employees have been a hassle, you had a problem with a customer, suppliers raising their rates, etc., and say, flip the switch, I want out. The best way to do it is to raise the dimmer switch over a number of years until the business is bright and shiny and your disposition about selling is bright and shiny. How long? Everyone is different. I always have said 3 to 5 years because that's what buyers and banks ask for as far as financial information. My friend Thomas Jones, a CPA at Sweeney Conrad, says start thinking about it 6 years out, because if you're going to change the entity structure, it can take 5 years for everything to be fully in place. So a lot to think about. Business buyers, these are the things your seller had better have been thinking about, and probably things you need to ask them. Sellers, don't do anything until you've thought through these things. Thank you for listening. 7 things to think about, mostly from a personal side, before selling your business. I'm John Martinka in the Getting the Deal Done podcast series.